Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Green Arrow FPL podcast and Fantasy Football Hub as we exit the festive carnage and indeed 2024 and look ahead with renewed vigour to 2025 and the pain, agony and very, very rare euphoric moment that FPL will bring us. Happy New Year to all our followers, watchers, listeners and Fantasy Football Hub members. Here's to another year of you. We thank you so much, as always, for your support. My name is Fergie. And I'm here, as usual, with the brilliant Rich Clarke. Rich, how are you? And broadly, what colour is your arrow coming out of the festive period?
Hi, Fergie. Hi, everyone. Happy New Year to you all. I hope that the football has been kind to you over Christmas. It finally has been kind to me. So I had a really good Christmas, a succession of green arrows, all through the period. If you remember, we did a pod for the last 3 game weeks that we've just done, 17, 18 and 19, and managed to get green arrows in all 3 of those. So
Wow.
There's been a big improvement to the rank. It's still not spectacular, but from where it's come from, I'm pretty happy with it. I set myself a little unofficial target to try and get close to the top million by the end of Christmas, and we're not far off. So pretty feeling like I'm back in the game to an extent, and got something to shoot for in the second half of the season.
Very well played, mate. Really nice climb. Just looking at your dashboard from Fantasy Football Hub, and from game week 15, you were roughly 3.3 million, mate, and now you're up around 1.3 million. So that is absolutely superb going over that period. Really, really, really well played. And in this particular game week, 84 points, the smallest rank rise of the 3 weeks over Christmas, I think, but nevertheless, still a good rise. Do you want to kind of talk us through the moves you've made and your team?
Yeah, I think I rolled going into 17, and that was the week. It feels like ages ago, just before Christmas, where Saka got injured.
Yeah.
We haven't done a pod since Saka got injured, and we all had fairly similar looking midfields at that time. So I guess that was good for the game because it sent fantasy managers in all sorts of directions with where they would go with that Saka sale, because he's out now for 2 months, not coming back till March. He had an operation on his hamstring. So I wouldn't say my transfers have been brilliant. I bought in Bruno Fernandes that week for game week 18, who then immediately got sent off after about 56 minutes in game week 18. So that wasn't great, but I still managed a decent overall return. I think really for me, hanging on to some of the players that people have been selling. So I've hung on to Cunha throughout the whole period, and he's been punishing people who sold him with his impending ban not coming in. I had Isak and Hall in for the Christmas fixtures, and have picked up some Arsenal clean sheets, and also Morgan Rogers and Trent. Trent finally returned after I've owned him for most of the season, and so on and so forth. So just a little bit of a lesson, really, that being patient and holding on to players, not just knee jerking them out every time they get a suspension or an injury, it can sometimes pay you back. And in this case, I've managed to avoid a lot of the hauls that other people have had too. So I haven't been too damaged by points scored by players I don't own as well during the period. That's one observation I've had. So that's all led to some decent rank rises, and I'm really happy with it. But we've now got the Cunha ban. Obviously, it was announced on Tuesday, I think it was, and so he's now only banned for 1 Premier League game. And also I've got Rogers didn't quite make the 19 game week yellow card limit, so he's now suspended for game week 20. So I've got a couple of flag players. We'll come to those in a minute, I think, and that's very much a topic of our pod tonight, I think, is dealing with the curveballs that we're still getting.
Indeed, it's very much kind of as you say, a lot of manoeuvring and intricacy, I think, rather than making kind of massive strategic moves in our team at the moment, isn't it? We'll look at the Hub AI Wildcard team later for game week 20, and we're looking very, very similar to it, Rich, which it was a nice place to be. And you can see by your overall team rating, Fantasy Football Hub's rating, you're on 95%, I think, at the moment, which is obviously really, really strong. So it shows you're kind of on the not on the template as in, the kind of Twitter template, but you're on the Hub AI template, and obviously it's been doing you really, really well over these last few weeks. Really, really well played. It's nice to see a massive grin on your face after a tough couple of months. Definitely going the right way.
Thank you, buddy.
I'm 1974 is in the chat and says, my team has certainly celebrated Santa, but red arrows all the way through Christmas. What a joyful period. Damien is in. He says, may it be filled with green arrows. Happy New Year, he says. Thank you, Damien. Great to be watching live. Ravioli Jenkins, what a name. Hello, Green Arrow Gang. Woodstock is in, as is Ross. Steed Scosher. He went from 3.1 million to 1.98. Really enjoy watching you guys. Well played, sir. Immortal Technique is in. Stringer Bell, Obu, Cedric Levy, Oliver, Viva Hub Ultra, as he says. One of your lot, Rich. Happy New Year, all. Steve Ricks is in. Zed is in. Big Lou and Craig says, feels like we should have the weather forecast up for this pod. Absolutely. Yes. Can you imagine what can happen this weekend if all if all the snow rumors come to pass? Lee Johnson is here. He says, over the moon. He's working from home today, and you're on live. All the very best. FPL Sparta is in, as is Super Tiger. Great to have you all with us this afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us as usual. Quick look at my Christmas update. Had a really good Christmas overall. Small green arrows in game week 17 and a smallish one in game week 18, but I had an absolute stormer this week, which has taken me up to 648k overall, which is my highest rank of the season. So I'm absolutely buzzing with that. Just looking, game week 14 and a bit of a dip. I was down about 2.1 million. So in 5 game weeks, 2.1 or 2.2 million to 648k. Absolutely, buzzing with that. And similar story to you, I think, Rich, is holding on to players. So my two sort of heroes over this period, the two players who they never really do anything massively sort of flash, but they just score points. And I can't remember who it was. It might have even been you, Rich. There was someone on the pod a few weeks back who just said something about holding the players who are going to be 90-minute men over Christmas, and that really struck a chord with me. And there's two players I've held. Brian Mbeumo, who I so nearly sold about 3 weeks ago, has come back with 3 returns, 3 massive game weeks in 4 game weeks. I mean, if I'd have sold him, I would be absolutely sick. And the second one is Chris Wood, who I think blanked in 17 and 18, and I nearly didn't play him this week, but he comes in with a 12-pointer, just absolutely incredible stuff. So that combined with Trent and Rogers, Salah captain, Isak, a really, really nice rank rise. So yeah, my transfer as well, Rich, that I brought in haven't really worked out. I brought in Ismail Assar, that hasn't really worked out. Brought in Anthony Robinson, I mean, he's done okay, but hasn't pulled up any trees. I brought in Pickford, who's done nothing. So my actual transfers in over this period haven't really done anything, but it's just the kind of the strength of the team has come through. So
yeah, although all 3 of those still have good fixture runs ahead. Exactly. You've got Pickford for the double. Fulham have the top of the fixture ticker. You're well set now for the upcoming month as well. So I like your moves, mate. I think they're good, and well done on making your rank a quarter of what it was a month ago. So that's terrific.
That's it. And managed to bench Lewis and João Pedro this week as well for 6 and 9 points respectively. So yeah, really happy. Plugged my team into ChatGPT, and when it spat out a poem entitled Game Week 19 Glory. It says, "Oh, brilliant Trent, a maestro's delight, a 15-pointer shining bright. His wand of a foot, his magic in play, lit up my team on this fine match day. Rogers and Mbeumo, Chris Wood and Isak, attacking returns kept the rank climb on track. Each one delivered, their stars aligned, a masterstroke team, their brilliance combined. Salah, my talisman, the captain divine, a haul of 32 points, simply sublime. Leading the charge, my team soared high. Through Salah's finesse, we touched the sky. Luis and João Pedro benched, but no sting. For 95 points is a beautiful thing. A huge rank rise, my faith justified. Into game week 20, my team strides with pride," which is kind of how I like to feel with that. I don't mind the bench points when you have a thing like that. So Frode in the chat benched João Pedro, Hall and Greaves for 27 points. I bet there were some benches this week. Absolutely.
There has been. I mean, I didn't mention it, but I've left some points on the bench as well over Christmas. I mean, I think that 1 week when I got 95, I think I had a 14-pointer from either Hall or Rogers on my bench as well, and I could have had 109, something like that. It was like just really amazing amount of bench points I've seen out there. But I'm like you. I think if you're going to play with an eight, playing eight, and for a bit of security in case there's rotation, you've got to accept that one
Exactly
day
that, mate.
your player is a good player and he's going to get points.
Yeah.
So you just have to roll with it,
I
really,
think
don't you?
I benched Rodgers. Was it he holding 17, 14 points? Was it? And so
That's right.
I
Yeah,
benched him
yeah.
for that, and benched a couple of clean sheets. I've managed to, I think, play and bench Rico Lewis in every one of his, the opposite to what you expected him, which has been a pain. But it's just what it is, As long as you've had Salah captain, and these, if you've got Isak and these sorts of players, you've done all right, I think. So yeah, happy days, and we look forward to how we move into 2025. Our first topic of the day, Christmas cards, looking at a bit of the fallout. There's a bit of a mixture in there of suspensions and injuries. Not maybe massively high profile players. Some of the shorter term ones are, but there's a few players here you just wanted to look at, Rich, and the various merits of keeping or selling.
Well, I think if you've managed to skate around all this and not be affected by this, you must have brilliant foresight because there's some very high ownership across these players. I think that just a few from this week, I think that have fallen. We could have had Saka on here, but that feels a bit last week's
Yeah.
news now. And obviously we've got the big man Cunha at the front here, whose ban has finally come in, but it has presented fantasy managers with a bit of a dilemma as to whether to hold him through a 1 week suspension, and then you've obviously got a very good informed player back, in a world where there aren't that many great striker
Yeah.
options out there. So Cunha is definitely one we're going to talk about this evening. Last night, I think you own this guy. Timber has got his fifth yellow card
Yeah.
on the 19th game week, and so he will now miss game week 20. Jared Bowen, who was a really good pick coming into the Southampton game, and a lot of people went for him off Saka recently as a short-term punt. He's now broken a bone in his foot, and so he's going to be out for the foreseeable. So a nice opportunity to move him on. And then Gomez, I think it was, got injured this week as well. So he's been in a number of teams as a cheaper Trent replacement or as a Canate replacement. So the Liverpool defence is once again going to be shaken up, and probably the man of the moment, really, Morgan Rogers, who many were dumping a couple of weeks ago because they favoured the likes of Ahmad and Enzo and other cheap 5 million options. He's probably re-established himself as the 5 million
Absolutely.
area pick of the season. So, but Morgan is now suspended for the Leicester
Can't
game. Can
believe
you
it, mate.
believe it?
Absolutely
What an
devastated.
absolute brilliant game that would have been. And now he's is he a hold or a sell? I don't know. So yeah, there's been a lot of flags. There always are at this time of year. And really that's really the catalyst for what we're going to talk about. Who do we move these players on, or do we hold them? Because I don't know how you're feeling about it, but there's there's never there's never really more than a few days before something changing in this game and
Absolutely.
and altering our perspective. And as we look into January, we are going to have the EFL Cup semi-finals. They are going to clarify what blank game week 29 is going to look like. And although game week 29 seems like a long, long way away, it will gallop up faster than an Isak brace. It'll be soon before we have to start planning our chips around what are we going to free hit in game week 29? Are we going to try and manage with saved free transfers? Plus, we've got the assistant manager chip coming. Plus, we've got the Liverpool Everton double game week. So we've only got another couple of regular game weeks, I
Absolutely.
think, before it all the silly season starts and we wheel out the spathometer again. So it's like, January is going to be a busy month in FPL planning. That's for sure.
I completely agree. Let's have a look at the fixtures for these teams and kind of combine the chat with those players you're talking about. So looking at Villa, as you said, Villa are second in the table. So he obviously misses Leicester, but looking after that, Villa, Everton away, Arsenal away, West Ham at home. I personally think that Rodgers is very, very playable. Everton away, definitely, and West Ham at home in 23 as well. Arsenal away will be tough, but as Rodgers has shown, he's really building himself up to be an established player who could basically score against them. Look at Mbeumo, like loads have sold him. Over this last few, and he's just scored. Scored against Arsenal yesterday. They just find a way, these players. And Rodgers, I think, I just can't see him leaving my team all season. Playing in the front three for a very exciting Aston Villa team. Fixtures are still good. All right, he misses one game, right? But for me, he's just in. I mean, if you're transferring him in, if you're transferring him out, I'm not even sure who'd transfer him out. I'm not sure who's a better option. Maybe someone like Ismail Assar. I can't get excited personally about kind of Enzo or Ahmad. I don't see massive double returns out of them, like you do in kind of a Rodgers. What has he got? A 14 and 11 pointer, 2 in the last 3 game weeks. He's very, very capable. So I'd leave Rodgers definitely. Looking at Cunha with Wolves fixtures, is trying to find on the tracker. They're right down the bottom, right? So he misses Forest at home, which would have been a toughish game anyway. But one, you could maybe expect a return. He's had away to Newcastle, away to Chelsea, home to Arsenal. I believe actually the run after that is quite tough as well. So as a Cunha owner, Rich, what are you thinking?
Well, I mean, I think you've got to look. It's always team specific, isn't it? But you've got to look at how many other flags have you got on your bench this week. So can you get through this week? If Cunha was your only unavailable player, you might want to think about holding him. I nearly sold him last night. There was some chat with me going on about, well, his price is falling. Shall we bring Chris Wood in? Et cetera, et cetera. What should we do? I haven't sold him yet, and I haven't completely written off holding him just because I can't really get excited about many of the striker alternatives. However, I've got 2 transfers. However, there's one combination that I might go for, which we'll discuss later, that does involve selling Cunha. I think the fact that he's suspended and he's a potential injury doubt because he felt something in the back of his leg and said he couldn't sprint. So we don't know how bad that potential injury is. Plus the poor fixtures. I think those 3 factors probably mean he's more likely to be a sell.
Mate. I think I'd be selling.
Yeah. I think so. I think I can do something with the 2 moves. I can improve the team for this week, set it up for the fixtures, and I'm very tempted to do that. So I'd be interested to see what the chat thinks of that transfer combination later on. But yeah, Cunha is likely going for me, but I have I've taken a price fall on him already, so not great.
I think just looking at the fixtures, as you say, the top teams for the next 4, Fulham are top. Love like Jimenez, Rich. Jimenez.
Yeah, he's part of the deal potentially. Yeah, Jimenez now.
Those next 4 fixtures are insane.
5.5 million. I mean, the only thing is that slight worry of the fact, will he start all of them? He does tend to get hooked off about 65, 70 minutes each week, and he can rotate with Muniz. Muniz has been given a couple of games and scored a couple of goals over Christmas, but so too is Jimenez. So Jimenez is still scoring. I think he's still the number 1 pick and probably on pens, I think. So therefore, again, you've got another great enabling forward there and still top of the fixture ticker in the short term. So yeah, I like Jimenez as an alternative. That's probably why I didn't go for Wood, because he wasn't the only game in town. There's a number of different ways you can move, and I think the extra money that the Jimenez transfer gives me will illustrate why I didn't go for Wood last night. I think.
Yeah, I think he's a really nice move in this week. Muniz played in game week 17, and we chatted actually with Adam just before the 3 weeks, and I think we all said we expect him to miss one of the 3, but clearly Jimenez is his first choice. So I do think Muniz will still get an odd game, but you are right, Jimenez does tend to get sort of 70 odd minutes and then brought off. I owned him instead of Cunha, didn't I, from game week 10 through to 15, wherever it was. And it was a very, very frustrating hold. But a 5.5 million, I think if you're tossing up between him and João Pedro, I think it's really tight actually, because even though João Pedro now looks to be nailed in the Brighton team, they got Arsenal this week. Nice afterwards, mind, away to Ipswich, away to United, home to Everton. But Fulham's fixtures are good, so I think it's a bit of a coin toss. But I would edge. I've got João Pedro, so I'll probably keep. I'm not going to do a sideways move. But if I was wildcarding now, I think I'd be tempted for Jimenez in the shorter term. Liverpool's fixtures, as we said a long time ago, they just go on and on. They don't play. I think we noticed him around game week 9 or 10. after they played, I can't remember, it was Arsenal, Man City, or kind of wherever it was, but they don't play these big teams again until like game week 29 or 30 onward. They've just had this massive run of almost 20 game weeks where they just clear on their fixtures, and even now, they're home to United this week, which seasons gone by would have been a red or amber fixture. It's the most luminous green you can ever imagine. It's just absolutely ridiculous, absolute gimme for them. Like the same as Spurs was. Even Spurs away over the years. That you'd expect Liverpool to kind of win. But 6-3, really? I mean, it's funny. I watched that in the pub after a few pints as a Spurs fan, but with Salah captain, just laughing at the whole game. It was just, what was going to happen. It was going to be a high scoring Liverpool win. It was just a joy to watch, even as a Spurs fan, because you know what's going to happen. You're never going to beat them, are you? They're just absolutely sensational this year. So Liverpool still look really, really good. Away to Forest in 21, I think will be tough, but obviously still fancy the win. Same as Brentford in 22, and then home to in 23. So you're not going anywhere. And then a double in very likely double. I think it's 90% that they're going to double in either 24 or 25. If no one has seen, for Fantasy Football Hub members now, if you go on the fixture ticker on the site, or if you go into my team, we do have projected fixtures and subsequent predicted points built in now to built in onto the site. So if you scroll forward on my team into the weeks, it'll tell you what the projected fixtures are, all done off Ben Crellin's predictions. That is now live on site. Absolutely superb new tool.
Just for my benefit, is that defaulted to on, and can you switch that off if you defaulted want to?
It's defaulted to on. So as it stands now, it's on, and predicted points are adjusted to Ben's predictions. Every time Ben updates his sheet, the points automatically update, as well as transfer recommendations and everything else. So yeah, that is on. You if you want to turn it off, you can. I don't know why you turn it off. If you want to turn it off, you can go and turn it off. But it's absolutely superb. Go and check it out. fantasyfootballhub.co.uk. 30-day free trial if people haven't seen that. Right on the bottom of the ticker, we've already mentioned Wolves are right down there, mate. Ipswich, Everton brought in Pickford, and they're right on the bottom of the ticker. West Ham without Bowen, I think without a prayer, to be honest, at the moment. They're absolutely woeful. Brentford's fixtures turn tricky, but again, I'm kind of happy to hold Mbeumo. Even against Man City at home, you've got fancy Mbeumo to do something. And then Leicester, Arsenal's fixtures are quite tricky over this next year, which is why I'm thinking of selling Timber. But they're away to Brighton, home to Spurs, home to Villa, away to Wolves. You can see goals in all of them, both for and against, I think. So yeah, just wanted to touch on a more detailed view, as you mentioned earlier. So this is courtesy of at Lego Mane, who produces these graphics on Blue Sky. Absolutely superb. And you just mentioned there, Rich, about we'll plan in a sort of chip strategy special in the coming week or two, because obviously, as you said, chip strategy is coming soon, especially with the assistant manager chip available in 24, as will Liverpool Everton's double be either very likely in 24 or 25. But you mentioned about these extra matches. We've got the Carabao semi-finals this week, and as you say, we will.
It's worth spending a few minutes on this, isn't it? Because if you look at the Carabao Cup semi-finalists, it's Arsenal, Liverpool, Tottenham, and Newcastle. Is it? Are they the ones? Right. Yeah. So those four teams. I mean, they make up 60-70% of an FPL team at the moment. Maybe not so much Tottenham at the moment as there has been, but we've all got two or three Arsenal, all got two or three Liverpool, all got two or three Newcastle, or will do shortly. And basically, depending on how those games swing, that's going to create a very different picture for game week 29, and we don't have long to wait, because the first legs of those games are next week, right? Just in the midweek of next week. So if we get a couple of 2-3 goal wins in those first legs, then you can pretty much bank on the team in the lead going through and start your chip strategy early, because the value of making sure you don't compound your problem for game week 29 will possibly save you the use of a free hit, which is certainly something I will be trying to do. So yeah, really, really valuable to save transfers if you can through January, but it's all about the balance, isn't it, on putting out fires and still still being able to score good points in a week when you've got momentum. So tough times. But then we've got. It looks to me like there's a whole bunch of European fixtures kicking in again. The finish of the group stages of the Champions League, Europa League, Conference League, all take place in January. So there's no midweek gaps for any teams. We've got a midweek set of Premier League fixtures, I think, in game week 22, have we? Or is that game week 21? I can't remember which one is in midweek, but we've got the FA Cup games in round 3, and then we have a set of midweek Premier League and a set of closely followed by another weekend game. So fixture crush is coming in January. No winter break for these teams this
It's
year.
crazy. I don't know if you or the watchers remember last year, Rich, but we had, I think it was the longest ever pre-planned game week last January. I think the game week, someone will get it right and correct me, but I'm pretty sure the game week started on something like, I think it was like the 14th of January. And because it was the split game week and the winter break, we didn't have the following deadline until like I'm sure it was like the 30th. It was over two. It was like
almost,
2.5
almost
weeks.
a month.
It was
Yeah,
absolutely crazy. Whereas this year, they've just gone, stuff that. It's too boring. Let's ram it in. And this fixture list for January is crazy.
Insane.
Absolutely crazy. So I'm sure he saw some teams are playing like, they're playing 10 times. I'll double check that.
Arsenal are playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Arsenal have got 10 games.
10 games.
Liverpool have got 10 games. Yeah,
Fantastic. That's what it's all about.
Amazing.
Just to touch on game week 29, looking at Liverpool and Spurs. I think over two. I think if it was a one-off game, Spurs would maybe have a bit of a squeak of a chance. But I think over 2 games, Liverpool are are going to be the heavy favourites. Liverpool in game week 29 play Aston Villa. So if you've got Rodgers or you've got kind of Watkins or kind of Luca Dino or anyone else, you're probably going to rule out 4 or 5 players, especially since you're probably going to have triple Liverpool for the double in 25 onwards, right? So that's a massively impactful game. If Spurs win that, it's Fulham, which is not as bad, but there's definitely kind of Robinsons, Castañas, and the odd Iwobi and Jimenez and stuff, as well as the Spurs players. And Newcastle Arsenal, if you fancy Arsenal the favourites, again, it's Arsenal and Chelsea, right? So Palmer straight away, and then you're talking about Sanchez or
Colwell,
Enzo,
Sanchez, Jackson. We're littered with players from these teams.
And then the other team, if they win, is Newcastle, and Newcastle are in fantastic form, and they are playing Palace. So you're talking about Munoz, Sarr, Mateta, Eze, and all these players which maybe aren't here at that time. So whichever way it lands, it's going to have a significant impact. So even though I don't think we need to start. I personally am not planning transfers yet around this. We're in game week 20, right? We've got a while, but just having in the back of our mind, so if there is a 50-50 and you're really torn, I can't choose between the 2 players. One will have it, like for example, Man City have got Brighton. We know that neither of them are gonna blank, and Bournemouth and Brentford, for example, are not gonna blank. So is it worth thinking about those? But yeah, we'll definitely have a chip strategy pod in the coming weeks where we will go through it all and come up with our most optimal strategies, because there is a strategy, right? Ben Crellin kind of outlined it really roughly, that if you wildcard in game week 30, you're basically playing a chip then for I think it's 7 of the final 8 game weeks or 6 of the final 8 game weeks because of the assistant manager chip as well. So it's going to be very, very intricate, and lots of planning and thought needed up until that point. But really, really interesting, and yeah, well done to FPL. I think when I see these changes initially, I'm quite skeptical because I just think they've slightly overcomplicated things, whatever else. But I do think the assistant managership for us is going to be a lot of fun. I don't think it will be for the casuals. I know I'm going to have to remind my mates on text, make sure you use your chip. They're going to say, what chip? What are you on about? Oh, I'm bringing in Lopetegui this week. They'll be like, what the hell are you talking about? But it's going to be...
Well, when do you think we're going to get pricing on that?
It's going to have to be pretty soon. Released? No, I don't think there's been anything released, but it's going to have to be soon because it's going to be available in about 2 or 3 weeks, isn't it, to actually use game week 24. Yeah. So it's going to be mega interesting, absolute chaos.
And I have one question. I don't know if you know the answer. Sorry, you know when you spend this 0.5 to 1.5 million on said manager, when the chip is played, do you get that money back, or is that money gone forever?
I think the manager, from what I understand, and there'll be loads of content about this on this channel, kind of and elsewhere.
Yeah,
But my understanding, I might be wrong, is that the manager just kind of drops off your team and you get the money back into your budget.
you
Is
do
my
get the
is my
money, you get a
understanding. I
credit.
don't think you lose
Right.
it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. FPL Gazza's just reminded us about last season's free hit 29. The average, I think I scored 12. Rich, the average was like 18 or something. Don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, no, I got 12, I think. Yeah, no, it was statistically the worst FPL game week ever, but
But
it won't stop the content coming out and going, I'm free
it
hitting
won't.
game
But
week
what I would
29.
say is, I'm
Yeah,
sure there wasn't many fixtures and they were all dreadful. Whereas this year
yeah,
we're guaranteed. Well, we will have 8 fixtures, won't we?
yeah. I think we'll
And
have eight
eight
more.
fixtures of reasonably good teams, so it is going to be interesting. Looking at some transfer targets ahead of this week, you've got a few players. Rich, you've got Chris Wood and Mateta from the forwards. Have you owned Wood this season?
No,
No.
I've not had wood. I've not had wood all year, so
Well, you are getting
absolutely.
on, mate. You.
I know, I know. So yeah, if you have looked at content over the last 2 or 3 days, it was the only option you could possibly go for, and obviously the prices were changing, and people were putting their justifications as to why they've gone early on him and everything like that. I just can't get excited about Chris Wood. I know he's done very well for you. I literally Forest have had an amazing first half of the season. Fair play, they really have had an incredible time of it. But I just watch him play, and he just doesn't
I
pass the
watched
eye
him
test for
play.
me. And
Did you see his
and,
goal and assist on the weekend?
well, that was all right. It's okay. But I mean, I'm like, I just can't get excited about it. And also for me, I'm chasing, right. So getting a player who's like 29, 30% owned
I
in
understand that.
for Cunha, I'm better off going for someone who's lower owned, less than 10%, if I can have that 50-50 choice, because the impact of that of him doing well, I mean, the chances are Wood will continue to return, and I would just be like one of those players that I never owned. It's certainly an opportunity to get him, but I'm just not excited by it, Fergie.
Yeah,
You'll have a different
I
view.
have a completely different view. 106 points so
Yeah,
far this season. That's more than that's one
yeah,
behind Saka.
yeah.
It's more than 20 points more than Trent. 25 points more than Bruno. And he scored more than Visser and Watkins, Visser,
Yeah.
Watkins, Nicholas Jackson. He's the fourth highest scoring forward. 6.7 million, mate. If I don't know, I think if I were you, I'd just get him in and just leave him. And he's just that comfort blanket, just goes part of the furniture, like wood furniture, obviously. But you just leave him
Yeah,
there, and he'll just churn out. He'll go two,
and he gets
six,
bonus.
nine, two,
Yeah,
six, nine, two. Exactly what you want from a 6.7 million forward, mate. Instead of going for
yeah.
some rogue who's gonna, you're gonna
Get
get in and out of your
rotated.
team, and he's scoring against
Yeah.
everyone as well. And they've actually just gone through Forest, a really tough run of fixtures. They're still in it, but they're going through it, and he's still returning.
Still
I think
returning.
you miss him
I
on there,
know.
mate. I gotta be honest.
Well, he definitely made the chart as an option, and I'm surprised you didn't put him in the foreground. But actually, I'm more tempted by I mentioned a combination move. The man in the forefront here, Anthony Gordon. I think if you look at Newcastle, they're probably the form team in the
Absolutely, they've been
Premier League right
sensational.
now. Isak is now in almost every engaged manager's team, so therefore he becomes another one like Salah and Palmer, which really is neutral. I use the term neutralised quite a lot. It's kind of neutralised in the game. The points don't matter in terms of your rank. You just everyone's got him. It's more of a hedge to have him than anything else. So an extra Newcastle attacker going into a beautiful set of
They
fixtures, which I
are
would
they are they are stunning.
include the Tottenham game this weekend as
Absolutely,
most people
absolutely.
21 was the best entry point, but Anthony Gordon really looks like a great shout. So I can get to Gordon if I do Cunha to Jimenez, but I can't get to him if I don't. And to get Jimenez and Gordon in for this
I
week,
think that's a good shout, mate.
it looks like a good combination. So for me, that looks good. The alternative is Mateta. Maybe that's too much if you've gone Ismail Assar. You maybe don't want triple up or double up on Palace, but Mateta, I think, almost like stole the penalties of Eze, didn't he? And I'm not sure he's given them back to him. So Mateta's a good shout at similar price to Cunha. and Wood. So 3 forward options there. And then if you're not on Trent already, then this could be the last opportunity to own him before he goes to Real Madrid. And he may even go to Real Madrid, by the end of January if the
Goodness me,
price
can you
is right. I
imagine?
don't know. So yeah, absolutely. But finally he got 15 points. He didn't even play that well when he returned 15 points. It wasn't one of his better games. So he's been dodging big hauls all season. But nice to see him come through. And I think there are more hauls on Trent.
It
And
was,
because of the fact we're now on 2 premium setups,
yeah,
really, that Saka's dropped away. There's a bit more money washing around
absolutely.
in wallets to afford him at the back. So I really like that. And then to yours, I started looking at bringing Mbermo back in last night after he scored again with Arsenal, and I could just about stretch to it. I think with the Jimenez move as well. So Gordon or Mbemo, I could do, but I just think again because of ownership and gaining the opportunity to gain, I think I'd favour the Gordon move over Mbemo. But he's definitely a hold if you've got him. I think.
I think either of those are pretty good, mate. I
Yeah.
like I say, I'm. It's worked out well. Me holding and Bummo and Woods, they're just 90-minute men. They're on penalties, and they sent well. Both of them have actually scored points when I haven't expected them to. I nearly benched. I had the choice of playing Mbuemo or Timber this week, and I went with Mbuemo just for the fact that I fancied Brentford to kind of score, but he is the kind of player, the same as scoring time. But I haven't got any arguments with the Gordon move. That Newcastle first 30 minutes against Man United was, as poor as Man United were, and they obviously were. Newcastle were absolutely scintillating. They were all over them. It was such a one-sided game. I think Gary Neville commentated. I don't know if you heard it in the commentary. He said that this is the worst. I think the worst pound for pound team in England at the moment. But Man United, United were bad, and they were. And when Mainu came on, they improved, but they still didn't really look like scoring or giving Newcastle a game. Newcastle battered them. That midfield of Tonali, and Bruno Gomes is just absolutely fantastic, flanked by Gordon, Isak, these wonderful players. So yeah, they're very, very good.
Well,
and
yeah.
Joe Linton, absolutely. Oh, what a machine he is! Goodness me, you wouldn't want to face him. Remember the old days on a Saturday afternoon, Rich, when you kind of you'd square up in the football pitch, and then you kind of look for your opposite number. You're going to be playing against most of the week. Look, imagine seeing Joe Linton. You think, you'd be like, I got a bit of cramp. I feel a bit of hammy. But yeah,
so the 13 stone of pure muscle coming at you. No, this is really quite incredible stuff. Yeah, no, they are good, Newcastle, and I just think if you want an edge in January, you need to almost have the triple up there, really.
Think a shout for Lewis Hall as well, who you've got, Rich. I know you benched him this week, but I think he's going to be my transfer in. I don't think I'll bring him in this week because I do think the Spurs will score. I'll see either this week or next week. But I think the 3 or 4 fixtures after this week for Newcastle are absolutely superb. So you'll be coming into my team. Predicted points from Fantasy Football Hub for the next 4 game weeks. You can get these yourself. 30-day free trial. If you haven't joined Fantasy Football Hub, really, just go on the link on the top link below. 30 days free. Plug your team in. Import your team. It's easy peasy. You get your team rating. Your recommended transfers, all these predicted points, all the tools everyone uses. They're absolutely fantastic. Planners and price changes and whatever else. But top of the tree, unsurprisingly, Mohamed Salah, 33 points predicted over the next 4 game weeks. Palmer close in behind, 29.5. Isak, 28. Haaland, City do have 3. He obviously scored against Leicester, and they do have 3 nice fixtures now. Wonder if we'll see a bit of an upturn from him. Son for Spurs. So Spurs have got Newcastle this week, and they have got a couple of nice fixtures over the other side as well. So Spurs players could come back into the reckoning. I think they got Wolves, mate. No, they've played Wolves. They've got a couple of nice fixtures on the other side of Newcastle as well. Ismaila Sarr is quite high on this list. 20.9 for Palace. They've got good fixtures. Trent Alexander-Arnold, Chris Wood, Brian Mbeumo, and João Pedro. Just looking, Rich, out of those top 10 players, I think I've got 8 of them, which is quite nice.
Yeah, good
at the moment.
Yeah.
And then Mateta, as you mentioned, Foden is still up there. Got the assist on the weekend. Bruno Fernandes, Solanke, Eze, Gordon is there as well. So yeah, just a raft of options, mate. who catches
Someone
your
in the
eye?
chat says, Jesus not on that list. It's a good shout, actually. Jesus, I think he's on 4 yellow cards, isn't he, Jesus? But I think he's gone past the point whereby he can get banned for that, hasn't he? So, yeah, Jesus is not a bad shout, actually, especially if Havertz is out
Jesus,
for a while.
we've got Jesus's minutes at the moment, average of 72 minutes. So maybe we'll take a look. He's played 86, 72, and 89. Obviously, they do have all these extra games coming up, don't they, as well? So they're going to have to manage him carefully, you would guess. But yeah, we will see, and we will check up on his minutes. If his minute, if you think his minutes are going to be higher than that, you should certainly take a look at that. But you can go and look at all this stuff, as I say, for absolutely free for 30 days on Fantasy Football Hub. Sarr is high on there, mate. Sixth overall on the list, 20.9. And
you brought him in. How's he gone for you so far?
I think I've only played. Well, he missed a massive chance on the weekend, didn't he? So he only got the 2-pointer this in game week 19. They got Chelsea this week, so I think I'm going to play him. Well, I've either got to bench him or João Pedro this week, but it's the fixtures after that I'm kind of excited about. They've got really good fixtures after Chelsea this week. I think he's looked dangerous. I'm happy with him. I'm just happy holding it. Again, he's one of those that because the rest of my team is pretty good. He's kind of like a bonus in there that when he does go and score, I'll probably have a good week. So I'm happy holding him. Like, missed a massive chance on the weekend. But yeah, happy. Odia S. Facer, Spurs fan, says Sarr higher than Eze. Surprised. Yeah, I think we have got Mateta on pens as well. Again, you've got to apply your own layer of discretion on here as well. I think Eze may pinch pens back. He could be higher, but Sarr's minutes. If I just have a quick look at Palace for what we've got for them at the moment, we've currently got Eze on 77 minutes in his last 6 games. He's kind of had 60s and 70s. He has had 88 and 86 back after his injury, but Sarr since game week 10 has played a minimum of 85 minutes, apart from one when he played 77. So Sarr's average minutes is 88, so 11 minutes higher than Eze, which is maybe why he's higher. But again, you can look at all this data on the hub. Interesting stuff there. The Hub AI Game Week 20 Wildcard team got up now, Rich. Oh, we didn't actually touch on the keepers. I had Flecken and Fabianski on the days when they both got injured. So I did take Flecken out actually for Pickford, which I'm still okay with, because I think Brentford have only kept 1 clean sheet all season or something. So happy to have Pickford. But yeah, that was an interesting moment, having 2 injured keepers, which was interesting. But Forster makes the cut for the Hub AI team, just his price, right? So he's 4.3 million, and Vildermarsen 3.9 million. Obviously, Flecken's replacement, but very, very cheap. What's that? 8.2 million on keepers. Obviously, you can go higher if you want. Fabianski's not in at the moment because he's injured. I'm assuming when he's back, he'll be in there as well. Back.
It's just a concussion, wasn't it? So he'll probably be out for a game or two.
Yes, I think so.
Back, I would think.
Back 5 of Trent, Gabriel, Luca Dean. Obviously, they're home to Leicester this week. Castagna, 4.2 million, and Munoz, which looks a pretty good.
I like Castagna.
Back 5 there, I think. Midfield 5 of Salah, Palmer, Mbuemo, Sarr, and Diblin. So it's gone cheap on the 5th midfielder. And then the 3 up front, Isak, Wood, and João Pedro. So pretty template-ish team. I'm just looking, Rich. I've got the front 7 there in my team.
Which looks like your own team. You sure you haven't got that mixed up with your own team?
No, I haven't. Absolutely not. It was nice. It's nice to see. Well, my team rate at the moment is 99%, which is, and obviously it's because it's so aligned onto this team. But happy-ish. Looking at the player, I'd really like Munoz. I might get him in next week.
Yeah,
potentially.
well, I got Munoz in. He missed a tap in, didn't he? He was right on the line, 2-yarder. And that would have been amazing, amazing start to his.
He's been up there all season, mate. He's like he is a beast. He's going to score goals. I fancy him to get another sort of
Yeah.
2 or 3 goals in the second half of this season, definitely. So, and if he combines them in these fixtures with a clean sheet as well, 15 pointers of a 4.7 million defender, mate, I think around the corner. So I'm looking at him and whoever I said earlier,
Hall, was it
Hall,
Lewis
Hall, Hall, Hall as well. And
Yeah,
maybe,
I'm surprised Hall doesn't make this wildcard team,
yeah,
given
yeah, good
Newcastle's
shout.
fixtures. That would be one that I'd have him over Deeney, I
Yeah,
think, at similar
yeah,
price.
agree.
But yeah, it's a good team. Good team. It depends quite a bit on Palace. Very reliant on talisman picks like Wood and Buemo, isn't it? It
Yeah.
likes talisman. But yeah, good to see. And yeah, if you are looking for a fresh start, the wild card is available, although it does feel a bit early to play it given the fixture mayhem we've got
I think
going.
so, mate. I think
Yeah,
just to touch on that, I suppose, in terms of strategy over these coming weeks. You mentioned then about the balance of thinking about the chips, thinking about what's coming, thinking about the doubles that's coming in maybe 24 and 25, as well as thinking about trying to preserve transfers, trying to remain flexible and stuff. It's very intricate. I think that if you can, like I'm looking at my team this week, and there are moves I can make to better my team, but I think I can also get a pretty good team out. And it feels like the last few weeks I've just played the 11 that's sort of in front of me a lot of the time and tied it around the edge rather than do these massive strategic changes to my team or take a massive punt on someone. It seems to be working out at the moment. Obviously, it's not going to work out all the time, but how are you thinking about that around the kind of the balancing of that progression against preparation?
yeah. I mean, I'm starting to sort of be impacted by even now because I've got two guys missing a game this week, Cunha and Rogers. If I had just one on my bench, I'd roll and I'd get 3 transfers
Yeah,
banked and start managing it from this far out because I think if you can go in towards when we start to get information about game week 25, when we start to get the pricing on the manager chips, when we see those EFL Cup games, I think we'll find out all the answers to all those 3 things in the next 2 weeks.
yeah,
So by the
exactly
time we
that.
get to mid-January, all the content will change, all the advice will change. It'll be, oh, here's when I'm playing my triple captain, here's when I'm playing my assistant manager chip, all that kind of stuff. It's all I just want to get it out of the way. Do you know what I mean? All that kind of stuff. Whereas actually, I feel that if you sit back and you hold on to that assistant manager chip, which is we think it's probably after a wild card the most powerful chip that we've got. We are going to learn. We are going to learn how that looks over the first sort of 2 or 3 week bands that it can be used, and so holding it towards the end of the season, could well be you could well go into it in a more informed position over how it works. But it's just the attraction of that double game week. Using it in a double game week, meaning you're getting a 4 week block under the assistant manager to score rather than 3, just means that an awful lot will be played in that 24 to 26 week game week 24 to game week 26
Yeah,
period, I think. So you'll see things like, oh, well, I'm reserving a Liverpool slot for slot rather than
absolutely,
necessarily a rotatable Liverpool player. Do you see what I mean? It's like so all that
absolutely.
kind of thing, but you're going to need 1.5 million in the bank to get Slot because he's bound to be the
He
most
will be,
expensive manager you can buy.
absolutely.
So lots to think about, and I've still got a triple captain. So there's too many chips to play and not enough double game weeks, isn't there? So you've got to play one of them in a single.
Exactly that.
Yeah,
I think the triple, like my really early thoughts, play the triple when Liverpool do the double in 24 or 25. I think wild card. I think dead end your team into 29, wild card in 30, and then you can wild card and leave the change in the bank for the assistant manager chip.
yeah.
Leave it there on purpose, then can't you, to assign that, and
To
then you
buy
can
your
play
manager,
a
yeah.
free hit in your bench boost and wherever else as well.
That
So
sounds like a good plan. Plus learn what the trials and tribulations have been with
exactly
it in
what's
the
worked
six
and what's
weeks
haven't,
previous.
because we will learn that. I think there'll be pretty obvious strategies, as there always is in FPL, right? When they're laid out in front of you, but in hindsight, as we look every single week, oh, we didn't think about that, or oh, what about
Mm,
this and this something we hadn't factored
mm,
in, or wherever else, and there's
yeah.
also, I think, something else. the difference in a lot of teams between sort of game week 24 and 25 and when they're playing a game week 30 is a lot of the times, there are teams, if you really want to go for it with the assistant manager chips, how many times do teams tighten up from game week 30 onward? Those are on the kind of cusp of relegation. They manage to just get these 0-0s and sneak these 1-0 wins, which they're not quite doing in game week 24 and 25. When it gets to that, the turn of the game week 30, and they think we're really, really in trouble here, So the whole mentality, teams go on the beach, the teams that are in 9th and 10th and 11th go on the beach, and there's so much to think about. But yeah, really, really interesting stuff. Best captain for game week 20. I don't think there's much point spending a lot of time on this. Highest on predicted points is Mo Salah, 8.6. Haaland just behind. Haaland does have a very nice fixture this week. Home to West Ham. Palmer's third, 7.1. Isak, 6.4. On the polls, 88% of the vote goes for Mo Salah. An absolutely kind of world-beating player at the moment at home, to quote Mr. Neville, the worst pound-for-pound team in English football at the moment.
I've just got a feeling. I've got a feeling that Bruno Fernandes will ironically do something in that game.
You think so?
I've just got a feeling. Yeah. Well, I know that they've won 7-0. I know that they're going to win the game, but I think it'll be closer than you think it is.
Yeah, that's fair.
And actually, I'm quite glad I've held on to Bruno, because if there's anything going to happen, it'll be him that is involved. So, quite happy to play him and as a differential and see how it turns out. But I certainly won't be captaining him.
Mr. Salah is just, he's just in insane form, isn't he? Everything he touches turns. It just seems like every time he shoots at the moment. So he shoots, it goes in. Remember years ago, he used to miss all the time. His shots are off target. He doesn't shoot off target anymore, does he? Insane.
No, he gets a goal, almost a goal and assist on, I think it's 8 or 9 times this season. He's got a goal and an assist in a game. So, yeah, amazing stuff. Nailed on for this week. Yeah, next week it's a little bit different. I think Palmer's got Southampton at home, so that's going to tempt a few, I think, to take it on. But I've been there and have taken it on and got caned a few times. So I'm happy to captain Salah, mate.
Good stuff. Fergie's a punt for game week 20. There's a few players, a couple in the chat, quite rightly. Michael Brooker and a couple of the others, Dave Swat as well, had mentioned that, and Alan McNamara, that there's nothing on Watkins. Obviously, Watkins is very likely going to play a lot of minutes this week against Leicester, so we'll adjust that for 1 week. But Duran has Duran's ban been extended? Was that right? Or is it?
He's appealed it.
Yeah.
But there hasn't been any extension issued or any verdict issued either way. So I think that appeal is still outstanding.
Okay.
I mean, I might be wrong, but I
think you're right.
I think it's a two game ban only. It's not a 3-game ban.
And that includes the FA Cup at the moment as well, don't it? So it's only so
I think he's back after Leicester,
but
as an option.
Absolutely 1 week punt. Watkins this week. They are without Rodgers as well, which I don't think helps Watkins, because they are losing to, they're probably going to play who will play now in the front three, maybe Bailey and. Not sure we'll play on the other side. I don't know if Ramsey's back potentially. Ramsey played 13 minutes on the weekend, so I'm not sure he'll be back. But you got definitely have to fancy Watkins against Leicester, Haaland against West Ham as well. There's a lot of sort of 1 game attractive ones here. But my pick, I'm not going for players. I try to look at play for the next 3 or 4 weeks. I try to look for low-owned players. There are a couple. I do like Luis Diaz, 7.6 million. Just every time he plays, just looks so dangerous. His finishing has gone up a level this season for sure. It really, really has. Every time he gets a chance, he looks like he's going to score now. And it's just if he plays, he was rested midweek 1. He didn't get any minutes midweek. They've got the Carabao game midweek, so they play United on the weekend, and then they play Spurs, who Luis Diaz tore Spurs apart in the league a few weeks ago. You'd fancy Diaz to play the Spurs game, or maybe both. I just don't know. It's such a tough one.
Too much risk around Jota, Gakpo, Diaz, Darwin, isn't there? All 4 of them could get a start, and all 4 of them could miss
while they're all fit and
almost all cameo. They all come on
Completely
for a
agree.
one pointer. So you've got every other game is a potential one pointer. So it just scares me off personally. But there are, there are gains to be had if you're brave.
I've had so there are a couple of other players. I'm not going to go for players like Watkins or Sarr. I'm trying to look kind of down the list. There are a couple of players who caught my eye from the stats. One is Enciso from Brighton, 5.4 million. He's played in the last 3 games. In those last 3 games, he's second overall on stats for shots with 12 shots, 5 on target, 6 in the box. He's 0.7 xG. He actually hasn't got any returns, but he has looked incredible. Yeah, I'm sure he had 12 shots in one of the games a couple of weeks ago. So if you're looking at, I'm trying to think of players as well, of one who are different but are yet to come into form. It's easy now to say Anthony Gordon, right? Because he's returned in his last 2, right? So I'm not going for those kind of players. But the one I'm going for is not going to be a popular pick at all, but he did jump out at me when I was looking at the stats. He's 1, 2, 3, 4. So over the Christmas period, he's eighth in this list for shots. He's got 10 shots, which is the same as Bowen, the same as Eze, the same as Vardy over this Christmas period. He's a 5.2 million midfielder. 10 shots, 5 on target, 5 in the box, 2 big chances. 1.29 xG, 2 goals in his period as well. So he doesn't always play, but he has got a knack when he does come on, and he's done it. He's done it a couple of times this season.
Harry Wilson.
It is Harry Wilson, mate, for Fulham. So
the Welsh wizard, Harry Wilson.
Marrying up the fixtures. Obviously, we've touched on Fulham's fixtures, which are sensational this next week. But for 5.2 million, I really think he's an absolute punt, which is what he is. But I don't think, I think he's a worthwhile punt. I think that he scores goals, which is what you want in FPL. He scored 2 in the 3 games he's played. He started 2 out of the 3 as well, but he also has got a knack of coming. It was against Brentford, wasn't it, where he scored? Did he score the 2 goals when they came back and won 2-1? So correct. So even when he doesn't start, he comes on, and he impacts the game. So Harry Wilson is my punt for the next 3 to 4 games to match with Fulham's pretty sensational run of fixtures, which starts this weekend. So look out for goal Fulham, Harry Wilson, assisted by Jimenez, Rich, which what it'll be.
Yeah, hopefully, buddy.
Let's have a look at your team going to game week 20. Do you want to run us through it and your plans for the next?
Okay, yeah. So
week?
Haven't quite decided whether to play 4-4-2 or go this typical 3-4-3 this week. I've got Cunha and Rogers suspended, so that does constrain me quite a lot. But at the moment, I've gone. I will probably go, if I play 4-4-2, I would put Mikalenko first bench. Not on. I think the AI's preferred him to Hall for me, but I'd probably go Hall away at Tottenham.
I think so.
Over Mikalenko. And play Alexander-Arnold, Gabriel and Munoz. So 3 of the most attacking defenders. I'm really pleased with the defence. You could say it's probably a bit too strong now because I got rid of Jacob Greaves, who miraculously has got his place back now and
clean
kept a clean
sheet.
So there we are. After owning him for 19 weeks, he's now come back and started playing. You love it, don't you? Really? Yeah. Template midfield a bit. Salah captain, Palmer, Bruno will come in for the Liverpool game. And I've got Enzo, but I might move Enzo on. Isaac and João Pedro up front. And I think my moves this week, having done this pod, having slept on things overnight, will be Cunha out for Jimenez and Enzo up to Anthony Gordon.
Nice move, mate. I think they're really nice moves. I do. I was surprised at Gordon's ownership. He was on my differential list, but he is 17%, but that is still low compared to, you mentioned Wood is wherever he is 30, and he's 30, 40, 50%ers. So 17% is still, you're going to see a big green if he hauls, and against Spurs, and over these coming weeks, he's got a good chance. I really like the Gordon move, really do. And thank you, mate. And Jimenez as well, really, really nice.
Yeah, I think Jimenez I'm gonna obviously have to take that on with with a potential benching or potential minutes risk. But I think given the fact that you can bench one of Rogers, João Pedro, or Jimenez according to fixtures
Yeah,
in
agree.
the coming weeks, that doesn't worry me too much. And Bruno's got nice fixtures coming up. Gordon's got nice fixtures, so it just feels like just getting out there a week ahead, because next week everyone will be buying Gordon ahead of their home fixture. So I think it's good to get him in, because the money is still a bit tight for me. My team value is not spectacular, so I need to get in there a week ahead of the masses.
Nice, mate. Your recommended transfers, according to AI, Enzo to Sa on your optimized setting, just using one transfer, and the aggressive one, Bruno Fernandes to Mbeumo and Enzo to Sa. If you were just trying to get a bit of a, if fancies Mbeumo more this week than Bruno, but as you've already said, you fancy Bruno. If he's going to do something, it would be against Liverpool. So
I'm just trying to be efficient with the transfers.
Yeah,
I just think it's if you can hold a player through a suspension or an injury, it does save you two transfers, and they're so precious. And there will be more. There will be more curveballs. Well, there'll be more players sent off, more players injured that we've got to deal with. So I just want to keep the team healthy, and that's why I've kept Bruno, because I just think United can't continue to suck as much as they have done. You know what I mean? They really got to turn the corner soon. So
well, if it were,
you're not convinced, are you?
Well, it's just this. It's a team selection. I looked at the Newcastle team. I looked at the Man United team. And I looked at United. Like Mainu is, as young as he is, he's an absolutely fantastic class player who can really help get a foothold for United in any game. And they benched him. I felt so sorry for Xerxes when they brought. I appreciate he's trying to do things different. He's trying to whatever else, but I think before you try and do things different, you've got to just establish your foundations. And Kobbie Mainoo is your foundation. He is one of the 3 or 4 players who should never leave your team. He is absolutely fantastic. He would walk into probably any team in the world or close to. You know what I mean? So stick him in as your staple. You need a centre back. You need Mainoo. You need your attacking mid. Your Bruno. You need a top class forward. And a keeper. That spine of the team. Just don't change them. Change everyone around them. But bench Mainoo and put Xerxes, Casemiro, and Christian Eriksen. Yeah, really?
Not good enough.
What? I mean, goodness me. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on.
You're wrong, Rich. We will continue to be this bad.
Yeah, that's what I'm then saying. And he also says a bit further in the chat on about was it Kunt? No, sorry. Duran's ban. Attack staff member 1 game. Or was this the Cunha ones? No. Attack staff member 1 game. Water bottle abuse additional 3. That's the FA for you. That's about right.
Right. Okay.
Looking at my team, Pickford in goals away to Bournemouth. I've then got Trent, Gabriel, and Robinson. Robinson home to Ipswich this week, which is nice. Salah, Palmer, and Mbeumo and Sarr. Isak, Wood, and João Pedro. I've got Timber and Rogers both banned. I've got Lewis on the bench, but I'm tempted to play Lewis. I think I'm not sure ahead of maybe João Pedro.
That looks a roll all day long to me. I mean, that's fantastic.
I think I'm rolling this week. Yeah. But I'm not sure who would you bench, Rich? Out of Sarr, João Pedro, and Rico Lewis.
I would. I'd do it as you have it on the
screen.
Really?
You bench Lewis, would you?
Lewis,
yeah. Home to West Ham.
Because I wouldn't go 4-4-2 with that, and you can't leave Robinson out.
Not leaving Robinson out. He is, he's really good.
I mean, you've got 2 flag players, but ideally there's nothing wrong with Timber once you just see out the suspension. You've got a cover if any of those players doesn't feature, but I can maybe see. I don't think João Pedro is going to get a benching, because it's been confirmed today that both Welbeck and Ferguson are still out.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay, cool.
I think he's got to play Pedro, really. Yeah. So I think the team looks great. I'm not surprised it's rated 99%. I think you're nailed on for a green there, mate.
We'll see. Lewis's ceiling is probably 6, isn't it? Well, not his absolute ceiling, but I'd be hoping for 6 points. Whereas if Sarr or João Pedro get a goal, you're probably talking more 7, 8, 9 points, aren't you? So I'll probably play it as is. But yeah, really, really happy. I'll probably roll my transfer, have 2 for next week. I think I want Hall and maybe Gordon next week as well. I haven't really thought who for at all. I'll probably take out Timber because Arsenal's defensive fixtures are getting quite tough for a while now. So I'll probably do Timber to either Hall or Munoz. I'll have a bit of a think there. And then I should have a bit of money in the bank that I could potentially even do if I wanted. I don't know if I will. If Sar's not quite cutting it, I could do Sar to Gordon. And Mbeumo's fixtures, I know I've mentioned him, but he is home. He's got City and Liverpool after this week. Could do Mbeumo to Gordon. I don't know. I'll just see.
Got a hold Southampton, haven't you?
We'll see how it goes. But yeah, happy. My recommended transfer this week is to save, which is what I think I'll be doing unless we hear something, kind of later on in the presses. And my aggressive transfer is Timber to Gvardiol this week. Obviously, Timber is going to miss out and is thinking that Gvardiol in his next 3 is going to do pretty well. I think, did he get bonus on the week? I can't remember if he got bonus on the weekend. But yeah, over these next 3, City look pretty good, which is all right. But yeah, I'm happy to save. And don't forget, you can get your own team ratings. Everything you're seeing here on screen, you can get for free yourself, both on the website and on the app, fantasyfootballhub.co.uk. Just click in the top link, description below, download the app, import your team. 1, 2, 3, simple, easy peasy, lemon squeezy, and you get everything in front of you. And a bit of a chat. Just seen a little bit of chat recently, on sites like the Hub, wherever else, and always doing everything for you, wherever else. As Rich and I, hopefully, we discuss every single week. We don't just blindly follow the stats or blindly follow the AI or wherever else, but it just gives us the foundation, the indicators for which we should be looking for our team. And don't forget, as I mentioned, we've now got all Ben Crellin's fixture predictions embedded within Fantasy Football Hub in the app. So if you start scrolling along, you'll see that, Liverpool and Everton now have got projected fixtures put in for 24 and 25 with the weightings. Everything's weighted there. So it just gives you that edge, what you need to win fantasy football. So if you are not a Hub member, 30 days free, jump on it now. That is it for us for this week. So thanks to everyone who's joined in the chat. Those who watch it back and those who on the podcast version, your support, as usual, is very, very much appreciated. Rich, thank you so much. Where can people get hold of you?
I'm on at Rich Clarke, FPL on Blue Sky and Twitter.
Lovely stuff. And if you haven't checked out our Ultra offering as well, it is headed up by Rich. If you want to know more, just look up the Ultra membership on Fantasy Football Hub. Rich is the man who deals with all that personally. My handle on Twitter and Blue Sky is at FFH_Fergie. This podcast and video will be on the Fantasy Football Hub YouTube channel with the podcast versions available on all major podcast platforms. If you like what you watch, please press the like button. Remember to subscribe to the channel in the bottom right hand corner of the screen. If you enjoyed your listen, please rate the podcast and leave a comment. Drop us 5 stars in a comment if you enjoy. We really, really would appreciate it. And we will be back next week at some point. We're not sure when, because the deadline for Gameweek 21 is the following Tuesday, isn't it? So we're going to have to check our calendars, Rich, and make sure we get all the up-to-date information, because there will be fallout from the FA Cup, which will impact. So we'll need to think about when we're going to do it. But we will be back ahead of Gameweek 21. But in the meantime, we've had a fantastic Gameweek 20, and may all your arrows be green. Good night, all.